Hello and welcome to Young Life. My name is Jaren Joseph and I would like to welcome you all to join us in our discussions. Over the next few weeks, we'll be talking about what it's really like to be a young person growing up in this era. What are the struggles we face? What challenges come our way at university life? How can our parents help us while we are away from home? And how does faith fit in with all of this? I would like to introduce you all to a panel of youth coming from all the way across the United Kingdom. They are here to share the experiences of growing up in this culture and this generation.
Hi, I'm Sharon Thomas. I'm from Liverpool. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently working as a trainee pharmacist.
Hello, my name is Joel Joseph. I'm 22 years old and I've just finished my degree in medical engineering.
Hello, my name is Marina Jose. I'm 25 years old and I'm working for the NHS.
Hi, my name is Neethu Sebastian. I'm 22 years old and I'm just in my 5th year at medical school in University College London.
Hello, my name is Neville. I'm from a place called Shrewsbury. I'm 21 and I'm currently doing my law degree at Staffordshire University.
Hi, my name is Valenka. I'm 19 years old and I'm currently studying psychology.
Hi guys, my name is Justin. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Liverpool and I currently finished my Masters in Biomedical Science.
Hello, my name is Jithin. I'm 21 years old. I'm in my final year of study of mathematics in University of Hertfordshire.
Hi, my name is Blair Binu. I'm 16 years old and I'm doing first year A-levels at Winstanley College.
Hi, my name's Ninu. I'm 19 years old and I'm a second year medical student at the University of Nottingham.
Hi, my name is Edwin. I am 18 years old and I'm starting my medical school at University of Manchester.
We know that colleges and universities make the future of generations, but still, there are many negative aspects of life which can influence the life of a youth. Let's see and find out. So Blair, what do you have to say on this topic?
I think one of the most negative aspects of college or uni is that many students are into smoking and drinking alcohol. Even though some students don't want to do it, the main reason is mainly because of their friends they encourage, and if they feel like if they don't do it, then they'll probably be out of their friends gang or something like that. And when they see one of their friends do it, they'll probably think like, oh, this is all right, he's doing it or she's doing it, so I can do it as well. So then they start doing it, they start smoking, they start drinking, and then it just spreads to other people as well.
Jitin, so what do you have to say on this?
I'm in university, so I can see the main things that I see in university is people tend to be more alone. They have a lot of freedom, and they don't have their parents no longer controlling them, telling them what to do. So freedom can often be misused into some people often cave themselves in and they stay in. They watch a lot of movies. They watch a lot of TV shows. Sometimes some might be even reading books, but then it can become such an addiction. And you can end up eating a lot, you can not do enough exercise, which can lead to severe health problems. And there are some people who often socialize a lot, and then they find that that's the only thing that they want to do, and they think that they enjoy themselves, and they end up going out, and they end up thinking that only having fun only means drinking, and then they end up actually not spending enough time with their friends. And they don't actually seem to get to know their friends properly and get to know the personality of the person. So these are the main problems that I can see in universities.
Is this in all universities or just particular students or just particular people?
I think all universities have this general idea, general problem, but then in different universities, there are some universities who promote social life, like nightlife, much higher than many other universities. But I think the problem still is there because most universities do often promote drinking as a you're not cool if you don't drink, that sort of perspective.
Does having physical relationships with your girlfriends, is this encouraged in universities or is this just a general trend going on?
I think it can be different. I think in universities, most men think you shouldn't have a girlfriend because you want to have a relationship with many girls. That's the kind of idea that most men have in universities, which is a bad thing. But at the same time, some men do think getting involved physically with even just one person before marriage is fine. I think that goes against a lot of morals.
Thank you, Chetan. Let's moving on. Even though if a youth has been brought up in a good family, can they still be influenced by these negative behaviors? Let's see and find out. Justin, what do you have to say on this topic?
Well, Jaran, even though the person is brought up from a good family, when the person goes to university, he or she can be influenced by drinking and smoking. From my personal experience, when I went into university, I was pressurized by other people, which includes like peer pressure. So, example, let's say if I don't want to drink or smoke, my friends might force me to drink and smoke. And if I don't drink or smoke, they might, put me out of the friend circle. But however, another case would be like I want to try to fit with the friend circle, so I will eventually drink and smoke.
But do you think many of the youths share these with the parents?
I don't think so. Personally, I wouldn't. But from my personal experience and speaking to other of my friends, they haven't.
So Sharon, what do you have to say on this topic?
So what I would add to this is, especially when children are being brought up with good religious backgrounds, once they become teenagers or once they turn youths, they have this concept in their mind that they have to be a certain person. For example, how magazines can influence girls, especially because they're more likely to read them. They have the concepts like they have to be a certain celebrity, they have to look a certain way. So this could easily impact them. They could even be a different person by the time they go to universities. And especially friends could impact this as well. If you're in a friendship group where they pretty much just look after their studies, lead a good family life, then they would follow that. But then if you hang around with a friendship group where they're more interested in having a fun life, where they're more interested in enjoying, such as drinking or night outs, they're more likely to go into those kind of concepts.
So these magazines you mentioned, what kind of magazines do girls usually read?
Well, particularly they are more interested in reading magazines such as fashion magazines and gossip magazines, and there you can see like celebrities, actresses, dressed in particular way, look like they look in a particular way. So especially girls, they're influenced to look a certain way.
Thank you, Sharon. Let's moving on. So is there any difference between boys and girls falling into negative lifestyle? Let's see and find out. Neville, what do you have to say on this topic?
To be honest with you, in my personal opinion, now I'm someone who has accomplished my primary, secondary, and my college education in this country. I'm currently at university. And what I found is for most boys, for most males, when they enter into a new school, when they enter into a new university, for them, their success in education is not their main aim. Because when they enter into that establishment, what they're thinking about is gaining popularity, amongst their friends, amongst their peer groups, in their sports teams. What they want to do is to be the top man, to be the most popular. And the ways they do this could be maybe they're the ones who drive the fastest cars, or they're the ones who can consume the most alcohol, or maybe even they're the ones who has slept with the most girls.
But is that same with everyone or just particular people?
I wouldn't say it's the same with every single person, every single boy. But for most of them, especially in this generation, this era, that's the priority that they have instead of their success in their education.
So Marina, is that the same for girls?
Yeah, I personally think the exposure the girls do get, it is the same. But I think for girls, it is more discreet. And it'll be probably within the group that they're hanging out with. Also, the environment also plays a big part for the girls. When bad things do happen between the group and the environment they're in, it's not being publicized as much as boys.
Moving on, for youth of our age, where does the temptation to usually lead a negative lifestyle come from? Let's hear from Neetu.
Well, Jaren, I think, looking back at my life now, I'm 22 years old, and when I look back, I think most of my temptations have come from my friends, because I was brought up, like we mentioned previously, like in like a Catholic family, and I had quite strict parents, right? So when I went to school, that's where I would hear about all the new things like clubbing and drinking. That's where I was more influenced. So when my friends, obviously, whatever things my friends were doing, I was never allowed to do in my own house. So when I went to university, I was definitely curious as to try all these things that my friends had talked about. So
So is it just the universities or the friendship among university life?
it's definitely the friendship among university life. You can go to university and lead a completely graceful, morally pure life, or you can do it the other way. And I think friends has a huge part in that. But I think the other thing that was very confusing for me was that although my parents said like don't drink Nitu or don't smoke or don't do drugs, all of those things, although they said it very explicitly, when I looked at the company that my parents kept, or like some of the aunties and uncles that I saw at parties and things, who were friends with my parents, and when I looked at their behavior, it didn't exactly match what my parents said. And because my parents kept company with these people as well, I thought it's okay to keep company with people like that. So it's okay for me to have a friend who drinks a lot as well. But maybe I can't keep myself from falling into the same sort of habits as my friends, like my parents can.
So my dear parents, as you see, actions speak louder than words. Even though your children, they don't obey you, they're watching each and everything you do. Smoking, drinking, or even lying, it can affect the choices of your children. So we spoke about smoking, drinking, clubbing. These surely need some money. So Ninu, where do these young people find this money from?
So I think for many young people, when they go to university, it's the first time that they really have their own money. So that money can come from student loans plus any extra money from their parents. So for the first time, they don't have to ask for their parents. They can have this kind of new independence, and with that can come a lot of temptation. And also, universities, they kind of encourage young people to fall into the kind of behavior that you were saying. So drinks at university are very cheap, and as soon as you get there, there's Freshers Week, where many kind of vouchers for this kind of thing are freely given out as well.
So Joel, what's your opinion on this?
Expanding from what Nino was saying, you have many other options such as betting, for instance. So one of the things personally from my university I've seen is football, rugby. These sports always have a great following. And after these followings, obviously, there's going to be a lot within your friend circle or even betting agencies as well. So you're going to have to bet on who's going to win, who's going to score the most goals. So there's a lot of options like that where you can actually gain money. As
so
well
is
as
betting legal in universities, or is it quite common?
in this country, over the age of 18, it's quite legal. Also, gambling is another one. So you obviously go to casinos. Again, same as betting as well. Over 18, it's legal in this country. And also, expanding from what Nino was saying, parents can be a source of income for children. So parents obviously can be very sympathetic. So, you know, mothers in particular, when they hear that their sons or daughters are actually spending money on buying equipment for their educational purposes, so they'll feel more sympathetic and, you know, be more lenient in giving them money. So obviously, students can lie about what they're going to use that money for as well.
All right, thank you, Joel. Is there anyone else want to share any ideas on this topic?
Yeah, Jaren, I just wanted to add something. At my university in particular, and from my experience, club promotion is something that students are encouraged to do. So we spoke about clubbing and students going clubbing and falling into immoral activities. But to get students to come to a club, the club has to have a promoter inside the university. So students get this job as club promoter, and you get paid for doing that job. And for me, a lot of my temptations, especially in my first year, came from my friends who were club promoters. So they would offer me discount entry or free entry into the club, just because the number of people that they bring is like commissioned, so they get paid more. So that's another way that students can earn money, and that's also another sort of way that I've fallen into this sort of activities.
Is this quite common in just your university, or do you think it's common every university?
I think it's pretty universal in every university. From going out onto the streets and in the clubs, in the streets, I've seen so many club promoters from so many different universities because the clubs need promoters in all the universities. That's the only way they're going to get the students. That's the only way they're going to make money. It's a business thing.
Looking at the different levels of immoral activities happening in schools, colleges and universities, Jitin, would you add something to it?
Yes, definitely. I think there's the problem is as you get older, the more things become available to you, and as well as your body is going over hormonal changes, which tends to make in most cases, as I got older, it was very difficult for me to control my anger towards my parents, how to develop the loving relationship with my parents and my sibling. So that's a very difficult thing, and especially I think in schools the problem would be that you're trying to fit in, as people have mentioned before, and you're trying to find the right friends, and you're trying to build your future with those friends around you and the relationship with those friends, and then they have to be in the right circumstances. They have to be good moral people, or you will tend to follow their parts of life as well. And as you go into universities, the different types of sins would be more of nightlife sins, and sins to do with being you have more freedom, as I've mentioned before. So you tend to be involved in whatever you can do, and then you might not even have the friends that you had. You might not even have the good moral friends that you had from your childhood or your schools. So then you want to find new friends again as you go into universities, and then you tend to want to mold into their categories, and then you tend to change as a person as well sometimes in universities.
Do parents influence the children to follow a negative lifestyle? Valenka, what do you have to say on this topic?
I think that parents influence their children in many bad ways. For example, if a parent gets angry at their children, but a parent has the right to discipline their children. But however, if a parent goes completely overboard and loses their control, then that influences a child in a bad way. For example, if a parent continuously really loudly shouts at their child, then the child will take it differently. And other examples, like if a parent is drinking in front of their child, then a child finds it appropriate to drink. And if they maybe go to university later on and they're exposed to the drinking lifestyle, then they will think that it is okay to drink because my parents do it at home. And other examples, like if a parent lies to their children and the child clearly knows that the parent is lying to them, then the child will have no problem to lie to anybody. So all these examples influence a child in a really bad way.
Do you think parents, they also have a good side in the family, a good role in the family?
I think if a parent influences their child in a right way to teach them the right things, then a child will be put on the right lifestyle. For example, a good example of this is family prayer. If a family who pray together, then it influences a child to stay on the right path.
So Neville, would you like to add something to what Valenka said?
Valenka's pretty spot on with what she said, but I would also like to add that in a family where there is consistent arguments between the husband and the wife, this can put a lot of pressure on the child, because if you think about it, in a family, when the child comes back from school or university after a very stressful day, they expect some peace in their house, and when they don't get that, this causes them extra pressure, and it could actually affect their education, their peace, their joy, their social skills. It could affect quite a lot of things in the child's life. So I think it's very important that that I know that parents will have disagreements because that's human, but I would say that they're very controlled in how they express those disagreements in their household in front of their child, because if they're constantly losing their temper and constantly shouting at each other, it could have a very detrimental effect on the child's way of thinking and how he decides to live his life.
So Edwin, how do these young people hide this negative lifestyle from their parents?
Basically, I go to uni now, and I see many people sinning in many different ways. And from looking from a university perspective, seeing bad things online is one of the main sins. And many students actually try to hide these from my parents. And my parents, from my point of view, are very strict. They check my phone to see if I've been accessing any bad sites. And modern technology is growing every day, and one of the new systems that's coming into place is you can lock each single app. So if you're hiding something, you can give it a specific code, a specific number, or even a specific pattern on the phone. And that can prevent your parents, your friends accessing your private things in the phone. And another thing that I recently found out is there are many search engines now, Google, Yahoo, YouTubes, and you can search many videos and you can access many bad websites through these search engines. And these often have clear histories, like history of everything that you have searched on these websites. And these can be easily cleared, these search engines, or your histories can be cleared. And that, again, is a very good way from letting others know that you're sinning. And from my own point of view, if I was in sin, one of the best way that I would have hid it from my parents was just through ignorance. When I remember when I led a sinful life, I used to ignore my parents all the time, lock myself in a room, to be honest, not actually talking to them that much and not giving them that hint that I'm sinning. And that's the way that I hid it from my parents.
Do you think these parents, they are not aware of the technology, or?
I think looking at most of the parents, they're from the older generations, and they don't know how to use technology. My dad doesn't, but I think my mom more kind of get used to the technology, and many parents are learning now, which I think is helping this generation from actually hiding these sins.
So does lying form a part of it, or?
Hiding is one of the way. Lying is one of the way in students hide the university life from their parents. And as Joanne mentioned a few moments ago, that parents are often very sympathetic towards their children when they're at uni. Obviously, they're on their own. And in that situation, whatever the lie that they're going to say to parents, they will believe them instantly. For example, if your parents are calling you and asking you, what are you up to? And you could be saying to them, well, I'm doing my studies, and they could be believing you. And in real life, you could actually be going out clubbing, drinking, smoking, and it's so easy to hide it from your parents. And many of your friends, especially who's living with you, will support you on that, and they will also be lying to their parents about it.
So how does immoral lifestyle affect your studies and education? Lesmi, what do you say?
So having a negative lifestyle will affect the students' education, because say if the students been invited for a party and they stay out late and then they come back home really late, which means they will be really tired for the next day's lecture. So they will probably sleep and probably won't skip the lecture and probably not even go into the lessons, which means they'll fall behind in their studies. And then say if they have a deadline coming up, and then they would lie to the parents and the teachers as well, saying that just make up excuses that they won't be able to do it, and then which means they would be falling behind their responsibilities, and then which would not have them a successful career.
Does anyone else have something to share?
Yes, there's something that I'd like to add. We've just basically said that having an immoral life leads to bad grades. But it's also very possible to lead an immoral life and still have very good grades, very good outcomes in your career.
Do you have any experience? Do you have any personal experience, or?
Yes, yeah, I have some personal experience of that. Even when I was going clubbing, even when I was going drinking, I still had very, very good grades. I would always still come in the top 20-30% of my year. The reason for this is, obviously, it's a blessing. I obviously believe in God, so I believe it's a blessing from God to have a certain amount of intelligence. to be able to sustain both things together, the immoral lifestyle and the studies. But my primary point is that it was easy for me to lead an immoral lifestyle because of my grades. So my parents thought that everything was fine just because I produced all the results, all the A stars. So I was easily able to hide the fact that I could also manage to do all these other things as well as continue with this. And a tempting thing at university is that when you lead this immoral lifestyle, you have a lot of friends. And from those friends who are immoral, I guess, you get a lot of information, like what sort of questions come up in exam papers. See, they can't obviously tell you the exact question, but they give you a very good idea. You get tips like that. So in all these ways, it's possible to have a immoral lifestyle and get good grades. So parents shouldn't be fooled just by looking at the grades of their child. There's more to it than that.
So how does immoral lifestyle affect a social life? Blair, what do you say?
Well, I think leading an immoral life, like there's obviously that voice inside each person which tells you this is right and this is wrong. And if we keep on leading an immoral life, then that voice inside us will literally drown, and we won't continue listening to it. And if we go to do something immoral, we won't even think about it. It'll be just straight, yeah, I'm doing that. It doesn't really matter to me. Also, if a person is leading an immoral relationship with someone, then leading that immoral relationship will mean that they can't look at another person in the right way. They'll always be thinking in the wrong way by looking at a person. And I think that's the main thing, that main problem if you're leading an immoral life.
Thank you, Blair. So is this the same for girls? Sharon, what do you say?
Yes, I actually agree with what Blair said, because we are all humans, and it is possible to have lustful thoughts against the opposite gender, especially like if you're involved in particular sins, then you might behave in a certain way that might make the other person feel uncomfortable without even saying a word. So that's how, like, indirectly how a sin could affect your relationship. And adding on to what Neville was saying, like if you have parents who are constantly having disagreements, if you're listening to your parents using vulgar language, then growing up with that, you might think that it's normal to use vulgar language. So like every other word you say, you might use obscene language, bad languages. So in your friendship circle, or when you're talking to your elders or even your parents, using that kind of language might offend them as well.
Many of our parents, they work overtime. Does this directly or indirectly affect the life of the child? Let's see and find out. Justin, what do you say on this?
Well, Jaren, I would personally say, from what I've heard from other people and from my friends, it does affect their relationship with parents and kids. So what basically is, let's say, if a child has had a bad experience from school, from their teachers or from their friends, they might want to come home and they might want to share it with their parents. But if the parents are not there, they might be working, like, I don't know, the mom might be working day and the dad might be sleeping, and vice versa. So the kid he's got no one to share these problems with. So what the kid does is, the kid might go like seek help from their friends, and that, the friends might give like wrong advice to the kids. And also the parents might think, working and making money for the child is a good thing, but in real life they're not doing. That's not the real life. And also, spending quality time with the kids at this young age is very important for the upbringing and in future life as well.
So Neville, would you agree with Justin?
I would. I think Justin made some very good points, but what I would also like to add is that if the father especially is not there to spend quality time with the children, then the children will slowly start taking their role models as other people. They wouldn't go to their father as their first point of call. They would actually look for other people to fill that gap that the father should be in. So even though the father may think that, I'm doing good for my family by working these extra hours, I'm bringing more finance into the house, but actually he's having a bad effect on the child, because the child is not able to learn all the good qualities that the father has, simply because he doesn't see him enough. Because the father is an authoritative figure in the household, it's very important that he's there and present with the children. so that the child can live a disciplined life, so the child can learn to be obedient to authority.
So you spoke about fathers. What about mothers, Neetu?
Yes, mothers are key in the family relationship and in the family dynamics. From my experience and from talking to a lot of young girls, I can see that when mom is not at home, especially for girls, it becomes a problem because girls have a lot of emotion inside of them. And whenever they need to express an emotion, they need to go to their mom generally more than their father. And if mom is not available at that time, what girls tend to do is to seek that love, seek that affection from elsewhere. And normally in this day and age, it ends up being on social media. So going on to Facebook chat and just talking to random people. And this often leads to relationships forming. So I mean like boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. Because the love that is not being given at home because of the absence of the parents is sought out elsewhere. And I've often found that girls, when they don't have their father and their mother there, they need this sort of protection, a feeling of safety, a feeling of security, and they seek it out from a male person. So that's why the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship forms. And often it's with an older male who's able to, so in a bodily way as well, offer that sort of protection. This leads to these inappropriate attachments forming, which obviously has more psychological consequences and consequences in future, which the child may not be aware of at the time.
So we spoke about relationship with parents. So let's see, young people from what sort of family background will easily fall into negative lifestyles. What do you say?
Like I mentioned before, a family that is not connected, not communicating well, not being able to spend quality time together. Like I said, this can have a very detrimental effect on the child. And like Neetu mentioned earlier, the child can go looking for love from other sources. This could be a boyfriend, a girlfriend, from their friends. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, having a loving relationship with a friend. But the problem comes when a child is looking for the love that they should actually be getting from their parents. Another type of family background would be where there's alcohol involved. So if either the mother or the father is alcoholic, alcoholism can cause quite a lot of domestic violence within the household. And this can have another detrimental effect on the child in that, they'll be experiencing violence in their household. And this can make them think that violence is okay, it's acceptable, because their role models, their parents, is portraying that to them. Also, like Walenka stated before, that in a house where there's family prayer. Now, apart from the spiritual advantage of family prayer, there's also almost a social advantage where they're spending time together. They're getting time to reflect on the day. Through family prayer, they're able to open up to each other. I think it's very important for individuals, for people, to have some quiet time in their lives, because as you know, in this generation, at this era, people are so busy running about here and there, Family prayer, I think it's a great time for the family to just calm down, to just come together, to not worry about their jobs and education, to just come together in peace, be together. And families where this is not present, it can be a real problem, because eventually the busyness of life will just take them over and they will lose their peace, they'll lose their happiness. And this could lead to the child, looking for happiness in other sources, such as drinking, smoking, drugs, all these things.
So Joel, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree with what Neville said, all of the points. But I also want to add that, certain parents can be too strict on their children. Obviously, you need to discipline your children in the way that, you teach them what is right and wrong. And, certain activities they can take part in and certain activities that they should avoid. But also at the same time, if parents are too strict with their children and they basically lock them up in the house, they're not allowed to go with friends, they're not allowed to do certain things that at their age they're usually doing, like hang out with friends and so on. As soon as they get that freedom when they go to universities, they're going to misuse that. As soon as they go away from their parents, as soon as they don't have that constant watch over them, they're just going to try everything that they've missed out so far in life. So if you're being too strict on your children, that could lead to them having an immoral life as well.
So we started speaking about the temptations faced by the youth of this generation, especially in the university life, and how parent-child relationships and good family ties can help you overcome these temptations. On the next episode, we'll be speaking about more ways of overcoming these challenges and temptations. So see you all in the next episode.